All right, good afternoon, traders. This is Christian from Hertz Tribeca Trade Group, and it is March 31st, end of month, end of quarter. And how did we finish up for the quarter? Well, kind of just felt like a little bit like the rest of the quarter today. SPY finished down 1.6%. The Qs finished down 85 basis points, so a little bit less than 1%. IWM also finished down about 1% for the day, a little bit less than 1%, but some of these markets, especially the Qs, were positive, but in summary, there wasn't any. We kept on hearing about quarterly rebalancing and so forth. I've never heard somebody talk about this thing so much, as much as the media has been talking about it. That's why we said earlier that this thing probably, I'm not really expecting a big ramp into the close today because usually when the media talk, this is what I said earlier. Bottom line, once again, be open market. We ran into some resistance after a healthy bounce. Again, this is my pre-market note. Today's end of quarter, everyone in the media is talking about end of quarter rebalancing. Usually, when everyone is talking about something, the impact is muted, right? It's just something that you've learned in trading. If you've been trading or investing for a while, it's kind of the same thing when there is a headline on a financial publication on the cover of the magazine. Usually, usually that means it's over, whatever they're talking about. So that's the same thing with this quarterly rebalancing. If it's that widely known, it's not gonna, there's not gonna be a big ramp into the close. So there wasn't. There was a little bit of whippy price action around the close, but I thought overall today was just very difficult to trade. By the way, thank you. We had all 20 spots filled up for our trial, for 5-day trial. I did close. I did shut it down after that. I had some people ask me this morning, "Hey, the link's not working anymore." Yeah, well, we had full, 100% participation for what I'm looking for, and we may open that up. Like if you didn't get in and you really want to, just email me over the weekend, and I'm happy to give you like a 5-day trial to honor that. It's just I don't want to get, it becomes pandemonium if you have more than 20 is too many, right? So kind of a tough day for that because today was just very difficult to trade. I trading a little bit, in the morning, and I think the very last trade that I put on was the worst one. And I think I tried one other trade in the afternoon. I tried to go long a little bit of Netflix, but it was one of those days where if you went outside to, as I like to say, feed the ducks after the first hour of the day, that was probably your best decision. It's just very choppy, both in either directions. You could have possibly made some money on the short side too, but you had to cover at some point because the price action was just a little bit too whippy. So I'll go over my trades as always. That was yesterday. Today, the Baba trade worked perfectly. This went right to where I was looking for it to get to, which was 195.35, top of value for the week. So this is going to be an interesting name, going forward. So someone asked me about this on Twitter a couple days ago. They said, "Hey, do you still?" Because I traded this one day last week too, and it worked well. So I'm going to stick with Baba. It's been treating me pretty well. It did, with that one. You could see 195.35, that level that I just mentioned. Again, very disciplined trading. Got a nice bid off the open, and I thought that maybe it could get to that red line up there, 197.92, but I was perfectly content with getting 195. It says 195.42 now, but basically 35 was my was my exit. And you could see this is sometimes how value areas work, right? We actually try to go a little bit higher, and it just brings us in. So again, value area is giving some great support and resistance levels to trade from, but you have to click the mouse appropriately if it does or if it doesn't work. Another name that I tried trading today was Blue Apron. It looked like it had some momentum to it early on. It worked. I hit one really nice target, but the thing wasn't able to break out. So again, we'll put this on the watch list for tomorrow. But it's got to break out of 1265. Again, I was able to hit a target at 1295. I got out of it because basically the majority of what I'm doing now is day trading, and I'm just not comfortable yet. Holding a lot of positions. Let me just turn this off. Uh, holding a lot of positions overnight right now in this. How do I turn this off? Volume off. That's not working. That's not working. All right, I think that worked with the phone. So yeah, I'm trying not. I'm trying to be super disciplined right now, and even though the VIX went down today, I'll cover the VIX in a second. It's still not exactly where I want it to be because the risk is just much greater in the short term. So again, one of these things where you just have to revisit them tomorrow because if it would have held above value, above 1265, then I would have said, hey, sure, we got a shot. But I don't like these rejections like that. And then finally, the last trade that I put on, or not the last, but the third trade was crowdsourced. This thing got rejected as well. I had mentioned this. I did try it because we saw some big, a big order that hit the tape going out to April. Really nice size transaction. But as you know, with option activity, I have a love-hate relationship with it because a lot of times the trades just don't work. Sometimes you get that nice short-term momentum for the day, and you can get a nice winner for a day trade. But more often than not, the trades just don't work. The majority of options that we see on the tape, regardless if they're aggressive or not, they expire worthless. Uh, Obviously some of them get sold too, but it's just how it is, right? And I know some people like to tell you otherwise, but those are the facts of the matter. Crowd. So again, we'll have to watch this thing again. Value areas, in my opinion, act much better for me trading other versus option activity, because again, I know exactly where this trade's going to work and where it's not going to work. This thing failed at try to break out of value, which again is 59.69. It got there and got rejected. My stop was 57. I took it and I'll continue to monitor it, right? So if this thing happens to maybe get back down to bottom of value, I could try it for a scalp, maybe moving inside value. But really what I'm looking at for crowdsource is for a break above value and for this thing to kind of get going. Also, it looks a little bit similar there on the daily chart. Notice you have that resistance up there too, and it's gotten rejected there a few times. So I think, I'm happy with how I manage the situation. Am I happy that I lost money on it today? No, but it is what it is, and sometimes you'll take those. And this one cost me a little bit more than hurt a little bit more than a paper cut, which is normally what you should be doing. But I think I set the stop a little bit too far down. But it is what it is. Again, I like to share the trades that worked out as well as the trades that didn't work out because that's reality. Netflix, I tried Netflix. I just couldn't get it to go. And you could see I stopped myself out of Blue Apron as well. So that's it. Again, it was one of those exercises where sitting on your hands when you're kind of if you've got a sense that the market's going to be a little bit too choppy, you probably had the best outcome for the day. But hindsight 2020. So where does that leave us, right? So that's a little bit about today's price action. Also the sectors, I like to do a little bit of summary there. Chinese internets had the best momentum from open to close. To the long side, they finished up 1.9%. There was a couple other sectors. There were some things that really got moving when Trump talked about, I guess, it's always now $1 trillion of a possible plan. Infrastructure plan. So things like steel names did very well. Summit SUM, which was flagged in the trading room, great looking trade. SUM, so that was the catalyst for those to get going. Both steel and material names. Summit did this today. Oops, wrong chart. Really nice move, up 20% today. 20%. And basically into this gap. I would think that was an earnings gap, but I guess it's not. But anyway, in any event, real nice trade and nice way to pick up on something that you know was a catalyst for the day. Interesting. I also thought that if we just sort this by today's performance rather than percentage change from open to close, I thought that and again, I don't know if this is because of there wasn't that big of a move in bonds. But interesting what happened to utilities today. Also, the home builders were down over 4% for the day. REITs got hit hard. They did come back from the lows, and then banks were on the bottom as well. So, a lot of these groups, a lot more groups went red that were green in the beginning of the day. So let's go through a couple charts here. I mentioned I'll talk about the VIX first. The VIX came down to 53, right? So normally when you see the VIX down like this, down 6%, you would think, oh wow, the market must have been up a lot. Well, that didn't happen. I did get a question at the end of the day. Hey, is that some type of a divergence with the VIX down 6.2% the day, and the S&P was also down? It could be. We'll have to keep an eye on that. That is a divergence for the day, right? Usually, when the VIX is down, theoretically, the market, the S&P is usually up. So that didn't happen today. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. It did break below the 20-day moving average that I've been talking about. So we'll see if this snaps back or not. But for now, take it for what it is, and it's a reduction in volatility, which is where I wanted to see this thing get going, down to 55 and further down to 50. And I think if we continue to move in this direction, we can move all the way back to like 30, 36, 40, possibly. So we'll keep an eye on that. Again, I think more important, as much as people have been talking about this quarterly rebalancing, tomorrow's the first day of the month. Funds usually put new money to work on the first day of the month. So that could be a catalyst for tomorrow. I think that might be a bigger catalyst than, this nonsense about quarterly rebalancing, which we've heard about nonstop. So so I think that could be telling for tomorrow. Where are they going to put their money to work? Is it going to be bonds, or is it going to be equities? And in equities, is it going to be small caps, or is it going to be large caps, value versus growth? So we'll look for clues for that in tomorrow's trading. Going back to the S&P chart on the daily side, you could see that we have stalled out at this 20 period moving average. So again, it's why I have both value areas, right, the market webs on my charts, as well as the moving averages, because they can both provide clues. And you can tell right now on this daily chart, we don't have any, we're so far below value right now for the month of March. We'll be in April, and it looks like we're going to open up inside the month of, we're going to open up inside value for the month of April. But the value areas have been providing really good tools to kind of use for support and resistance. For now, the 20 period moving average seems something that the S&P is honoring for now. Qs are going to look a little bit different. They've been stronger, no doubt, but they are closed right around that 20-day moving average, but an ugly looking candle. So again, we'll just have to see how this plays out. I'm going to continue to be objective. I think if this market wanted to hurt the most people, right? Because sometimes that's the way the market works, right? The market wants to do sometimes what everybody's predicting is going to happen doesn't always happen, right? Everybody's predicting for, it seems like the consensus is people are predicting for a return back to the lows. What if we did something like this, where we started to go in that direction and then we went back up? That could be something, some type of a W. I think that would also hurt them. Again, thinking about what would hurt the most people is if we start to go one direction and whip to the other side. So we'll just have to see how that goes. I think that we'll be getting, clues along the way. So I'm not really jumping to any conclusions. I would be more defensive if we break down and we start to roll back over, and that VIX starts to ramp back up. Right, so I think the market's going to show itself, I think, within the next few days about what direction we're going to go into. Also, another possible outcome is we chop around for a bit too, right? That would also frustrate a lot of people too. For as fast as we've been moving, if we get a choppy market too, I think that would be kind of frustrating as well. All right, guys, so that's it. What else? Do I want to talk about anything else for the day? I don't think there was really anything that pressing. Let's just see where credit spreads. Oh, I wanted to cover, there was one other thing I wanted to cover. I knew it. I knew it. I wanted to cover TLT for a minute. So this is credit spreads. This also, has fallen pretty decently over the last week. Looks like it found a little bit of support today. I don't know if there's a moving. I'm hesitating. I don't want to look at a moving average on this. So that's fine. But it did move up just a little bit. If we look at TLT, which is the last thing that I want to look at here, TLT also looks like it kind of stalled out. It has been showing some relative weakness at the end of the day. Like it kind of was strong for the first half of the day and sold off. So we've been seeing that. That's the second day in a row that we've seen it out of TLT. So we'll see if something's going on there. Again, going back to what people talk about month-end flows, maybe there has been a little bit of selling in TLT. So we'll have to keep an eye on that as well. All right, guys, that's it for today's video. Have a great night and see you tomorrow.